Go on.
Good afternoon, buenas tardes, mi gente. Hola, mi gente, mi gente, mi gente. I wanted to start with the participants asking, how does it feel now that we're like, this is class 4, right? We did board book, we did picture book, and we did early reader, and this class is early reader 2. And I wanted to ask, as soon as we started, does it feel from class 1 to class 3, do you see a lot of the same themes I've been repeating about keeping it simple, knowing your audience, like everything very creative and illustrations? Does it make sense?
Yes.
Okay, great. Good. Okay. I'm going to tell you that a lot of the things you're going to be learning and relearning on your own as writers that you are, but the best information you could gather is when you start digging in yourself and reading books on your own and start to see what's out there. That way you could start honing in and cultivating what makes you such a unique writer, because we're all very unique, and I just want to applaud you for that. I'm going to start sharing my screen. So what makes this class, I'm sorry, I saw someone wanting to join. Did I admit everyone? Hold on. Is everyone in the class? Hold on. It's okay, sweetie. Okay, so this class is early reader 2. The reason it's early reader 2, before I share my screen, I want to explain, because in early reader 1, there was a lot of information. I kind of combined some things so you guys could see like kind of like the growth. And the reason it has so much information also is because you're using a lot of the skill set that you already started seeing from board book 1 to picture book 1. And early reader 1 is kind of like the extension of everything, because you're like lengthening a story. You're giving it more details for a reader that is learning to read on their own, learning to understand the world of books a little bit, and kind of like started the fun part of storytelling, right? So early reader 2 is a continuation about that, but I have to tell you what makes this difference. This class, I made it out of all my headaches. So you guys are the first persons to get to understand why I think the way I think. And a lot of times when we're writing a book, it's not just about one person. I'm sorry, it's not just one person. It's also, hi, welcome everyone, welcome. It's also working with others. And when I say working with others, I'm talking about illustrators, designers, editors. I already touched upon beta readers or people that help you understand what you're writing. But I'm gonna get a little bit more focus on that. A little, not so much, because you're always gonna be learning how to collaborate with people on your books, but you're gonna learn something important about how to search for an illustrator. How do I go about it? A lot of people always ask me, how do you pick someone? How do I pick someone to bring my story to life? How do I feel comfortable sharing my story and knowing that someone's not gonna run with my idea? How do I protect myself? So I'm gonna be guiding you through some stuff, but I think this is the class, and I'm gonna say it now. This is the class that if you're very serious about writing, save the recording, rewatch it. Take your time with it, because this is something I learned the hard way. This is something I researched my own on the hard way, and I'm still not done learning. So I want you to be kind to yourself and understand yourselves as writers, that this is not something you're gonna get right away. It's okay. I'm proud that you're here. I'm proud you're gonna dissect it, and I'm gonna get off my little shoebox, because it seems like I'm starting always with a shoebox, but I want you guys to applaud yourself for trying. So welcome everyone. Everyone thumbs up if you're ready. I'm gonna share my screen. And let's see what madness does this teacher have for you. So early reader book 2. Like I said before, we're just gonna dive a little bit deeper into what we started talking about last week. Okay. Ooh. So this is a lightning scavenger hunt, because I cannot just start the class just talking about writing. because we have to tap into our inner childhood. So we did something that starts with the first letter of your name, your favorite mug, item within arm's reach, something you don't like, your furry friend, something you can't live without. So I'm gonna give you 2 minutes. You're gonna try, this is a scavenger hunt though. So you have to find it. This is not like I'm gonna write it. Let me be very clear. Find whatever is within arm reach, okay? Think like a child. So you could turn off your cameras and just get whatever's in front of you. And we're gonna start that. For people that are driving, like Calvin, I wouldn't suggest you doing that because I cannot pay for your ticket. Please be safe. And since you know it takes me a while to put the alarm, if you wanna start doing now, go ahead now. So start looking for something that starts with the first letter of your name. It could be your favorite mug or anything, or get me your favorite mug. An item within arm's reach, a furry friend, if you guys have dogs. Again, I'm giving you clues, guys. Listen to what I'm saying. Something you can't live without. What else? Anything within arm's reach. So this lightning scavenger hunt is anything within arm's reach. We got 1 minute and 40 seconds. I'm giving you 2 minutes. If you're driving, I guess the most you can show me is that you have your hands on 10 and 2. For all those that are in front of a computer, I do recommend whatever feels good that you would like to share. Again, tap into your inner childhood. This is almost like show and tell. This is the purpose of this exercise, because a lot of our kids write stories in this manner. They're just thinking about what is fun to show an adult, and we can make a story about it in our head. So we got 48 seconds. $32 seconds. $16 seconds. Okay, time is up. Time is up. So let me stop the share so I can see. So again, I know this is weird. Show me what you got. Let's see what you found. Okay, Tatiana, these are ribbons, right? Are these ribbons?
They're tape. It's washi tape. So this is my washi tape collection.
Oh,
I have so many.
Oh, that's cute. It looked like ribbon. Mi casa is my home. Thank you, Annie. What is that? Is that a book?
Yeah, my son and I had gone to the library, and he really likes this book, and it was like next to my bed.
Thank you. Anyone else wants to? Okay, Gilda, what are you sipping on? Is that? Oh, and you have a teddy bear. Oh, you're muted.
I'm sorry about that. This is my favorite mug. Although I don't use it, this is 100 little pieces of paper that my daughter wrote of 100 things she loves about me. So this is my favorite. I love it. Oh, this was in arm's reach. My family, we go on vacation. We got this on vacation. This is like the only fluffy, it's not really fluffy, but we went on a cruise and we wound up doing some of this at the cruise that we went to.
That's cute.
I can't live without, was I supposed to use everything? I can't live without this.
That makes sense. I can't
I just can't.
And Tony, you have Star Wars. Hold on.
Mhm.
He's like
This-
bringing it up.
My favorite mug,
Okay,
something I can't live without. Always my boys.
beautiful. Any
Something
other
I
brave souls?
stand.
Oh, it's
toys.
something you can't. Wait, what is that? Which game is that one?
It's the Switch.
Oh, the Switch. Yeah, yeah.
For the kids.
My husband is addicted to that. Anyone else? Any brave souls? I'm sorry if I'm like jumping around because you guys are entertaining me with all the things. And look at Gilda just going like, the Vicks. Anyone else? Okay, let me show you when I was doing this class. This was what was next to me. Karmics, which is funny because I have it right now. I had deviled eggs. I had a stuffed sheep because I was working with my son on another story. I had a mango and I had a coffee mug, which is here, but I don't want to show you because it has like dirty stuff inside now, like, and a lamp, which is right behind me. So this was just something I want to show you when I was creating the class, what I have. But right now, arm's length, something very true. I have Carmex and a cup of water and my dirty coffee mug. Okay. Okay, so now are we ready to go through this? Because it's gonna be a big one.
Oh,
But I'm gonna read it. I'm gonna try to make sense of it. Don't worry, you don't have to read it. It's just like my notes so you understand. So illustrations that goes with text. Since we learned about illustrations and how important they are in picture books, let's practice some of the things we learned from previous classes. By listing each image that will go with our lightning scavenger hunt by order of first to last. Remember, I try to make all these exercises make sense. Let me show you my list, some of my thoughts that came to my mind for my illustrations that I will want to plan out. My name is Luz, and how my name starts with the first letter of the object L is also like the object lamp, a picture of me turning on a lamp. That could be part of my story. My favorite way to start the day is with a cup of coffee in my favorite mug. A picture of me enjoying some coffee on my iHeartMedia mug and maybe looking like I'm in heaven while writing in my notebook. I have a bunch of Carmex lip glosses around my work desk, and I love the feeling of menthol and hydrated lips. So for you, Gilda, you have something with menthol. So I don't know what to think about, but I could think like maybe you could start your day just wanting to take a sniff of that. You know, maybe you could illustrate that. A picture of me always putting Carmex on my lips, maybe, and a huge stack of lip glosses. Another thing I love and can't get enough is mangoes. So a picture of me carrying all the mangoes I can, probably. I might even want to show a picture of me food shopping and loading up the truck with all the mangoes I can buy. Just a thought. Why am I giving you all these examples, right? I hate deviled eggs. A picture of me not wanting to see people eating deviled eggs or just looking sick, right? So I also have a picture of my son and his stuffed sheep that he takes him everywhere. So maybe I could do a picture of that. So now we're gonna illustrate our scavenger hunt. This is what I'm getting at. All right, so for those who brought some things to show, I'm giving you 2 minutes to show me what will be the illustrations that will go with that. Starting now. Calvin, you're driving, you could think about this. Okay. And starting now. If you have some questions, you could go on mute and it'll probably help.
it's okay.
So we got 1 minute and 45 seconds. So Tony showed me a Star Wars mug. So probably an illustration that you want to do for your lightning scavenger hunt is probably, I don't know, making like your best Star Wars coffee, like a spin on coffee. Maybe you want to illustrate yourself with like a what's it called, the Star Wars laser making coffee. Who knows? Think of something silly and magical as a kid. Tatiana showed me her washi tapes. Maybe she wants to draw a picture of her like wrapping someone or tying someone like very beautifully and making art out of it. I don't know, it's a thought. Who else share? Gilda share her Vicks. So I was thinking about like smelling that. For those that didn't share, it's totally okay. Just start thinking about what you have arm's length or something you could grab. And how would you illustrate that? This is how weird it is for an illustrator when you give them a story, by the way. This is why there's this exercise. We got 26 seconds. I bet, Mariela, what are you thinking? Like, I kind of want to hear your thoughts. I'm seeing your head going like.
No, it's because I'm trying to, my mom is here with me and so is my daughter. So like while I'm doing it, I'm like, I keep trying to explain to them like what's going on.
Yeah, I saw that and I was like, I wonder what she's saying. Like, mira, esta maestra está loca.
Because they hear me,
Stop.
Yeah, so they're always like, oh, like, what are you doing now? So
okay. I have stopped 2 people, if they could share what they wrote, what will be the illustration that will go with what you show me. And Annie, yours is going to be pretty simple because you showed me a book now that I thought about. So go ahead, Gilda. You got off mute and you're showing a picture.
Oh, so I have my Vicks. Can you see?
Yeah.
I don't know. And then my Vicks is for sleep. I feel it calms me. So I use it for bed.
Perfect. Anyone else wants to share? Get off mute. Okay, I take it by your silence, everyone feels content that this exercise was crazy enough. And I am okay with that. Okay, so we had homework. Who was able to do the homework and want to share if they were able to, 1, write something, 2, think about illustrations that will go along with it, and 3, kind of, if you didn't write something, if you kind of put bullet points on what you hope to accomplish. You're welcome to do that. This is a sharing and caring place. So when people share, please be mindful of your other fellow writers. And just, I'm happy to hear and help. I'm going to give you a minute to think about that. Whoever wants to share could get off mute. Okay, for the interest of time, I am going to judge by your silence.
Well, I can share. But the thing about it is, like I said, when I went on Amazon, I saw a similar book. So I was like, okay, so my story was, and I didn't write it all out, but I wrote the whole concept out. And the whole concept was a tall Black kid who everyone assumes is going to be a basketball player, because that is a common misconception.
Yeah.
Yes. And so I wanted to talk about other careers. So he actually doesn't play basketball well. So he's on a team, but he's really tall, really goofy, always misses the shot or whatever. But and then he makes the decision to try some other things. And he actually goes through a journey of different careers that are out there. But then when I went on Amazon, I saw the book out there already. I was like, somebody already did this.
So don't get discouraged.
It wasn't like a basketball player. Her book was just about other careers that are out there.
No, yeah.
About a basketball. She didn't use the basketball part of it, but it's like whenever, growing up in Harlem and I would pass the courts and stuff, it's like, it's the only thing. And then when you're tall, they always assume, throw that kid a ball, so, and it was rhyming and all of that stuff. But then when I saw it, I was like, I don't know.
No, it's okay. Like, this is good. This is how you're getting your creative mind going, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I want to share one thing. What you shared. I don't know who's watching Gordita Chronicles. I know Angie posted. I posted. I actually have a secret. I know someone that tried out for Gordita Chronicles, made all the way to the end, but they didn't get it. And it was going to be the lead actress.
Wow.
And I'm actually, in a way, I'm sad she didn't get it, but the person that got it is doing a phenomenal job. One of the episodes.
But she's Dominican?
She is Dominican.
Okay. Do I know her?
You should. It's the girl that represented my little Maria character for the fashion shows.
Okay.
And she's, ella, you know, like she's gordita. The reason she didn't get it though, we are assuming is because she doesn't know a lot of Spanish. And the main character, I think it was like a goal. My heart goes out to them because she's
Wait, she was playing the role of the little girl?
Yeah, and la niña sabe español.
But the little girl
sabe español. Yeah.
The little girl has Ulises Terrero behind her, so I feel like that also helped.
That did help. I did hear about that.
Yeah.
But anyways, in one of the episodes, they're making fun of the dad, who they assume es un pelotero. Like,
that was my favorite episode.
That was my favorite too. He's like, I don't know how to play, but I could dance. You know, like, that was
everybody
hilarious.
assumed that his boss was like, "You're Dominican. You must know how to play."
So
baseball.
You're gonna be a slugger.
I have a Dominican on my team.
Yeah, this is again when stereotypes go very wrong.
And he didn't know how to tell his boss that he didn't know how to play baseball, that he wasn't that Dominican.
Like, I'm Dominican, pero no así. Like, I get it. So,
I'm Dominican, but it's not that serious, huh?
Yeah.
With our Americanized, my son is one of those. He's half Jamaican, half Dominican, so.
Oh, nice combination. I love that. Real quick, guys, because I do love Gordita Chronicles and I could talk about it all day. But the lightning scavenger hunt, for those who did it, do you see why I was asking you to illustrate it? Like, do you see how it made you kind of think about text going with pictures again? And I know I talk a lot about that. So there's another reason why I did this exercise. When I started meeting illustrators, I will give them my manuscript because I thought that's what you have to do when you're hiring an illustrator. You have to share with them the manuscript. And illustrators will draw a manuscript. And I want to be careful with these words. They will write the manuscript based on what their understanding of your story is. Now, keep in mind, they had a conversation with you. They heard your goals, but you're not giving them directions yet. You're just sharing the story. This is my goal with the story. So there's sometimes drawing that. So that was the reason for the lightning scavenger hunt. Because for some illustrators, the truth is, and I see your hand up, Tony, so I'm going to call you right away, is, okay, you gave me a lot of things to think about, and they're going to simplify that story of what they think it is and draw it out. And I'm going to give you more snippet, but go ahead, Tony.
Yeah, I wanted to share something that I wrote, if that's okay.
Sure. Yeah.
And so I'm going to read what I wrote, and then the illustrations. Unfortunately, I haven't been able to do any research to see if there's similar things like this, but my day with Papi. That's my dad, but I call him Papi. And then it'll be like a Hispanic male and a male as the Papi figure. I love when he picks me up from school. The dad is standing outside, the child smiles when he sees his dad. Papi drives me to his house. And in the car, stuck in traffic, Waze is showing a red line. We always get stuck in traffic. Cars all around, being on the cross Bronx, trucks. Papi always likes to play the counting game. Gabe, let's count all the blue trucks. And then we start counting. That's the illustration. I get to hear my favorite songs on the radio. Papi, play that song again. Music notes coming out of the car stereo. And it just goes on. It's like, at the end, it's like, I love spending my day with Papi. How was your day? And that's to try to get a conversation with the kids afterwards.
So I just saw 4 of your classmates smile, including myself? Who was able to envision everything? And he explained the illustration. I'm gonna have a teary moment. I think I'm doing a good job. I don't know why. Thank you, Tony. The fact that you just read your story, shared your illustration, and I have a feeling by a raise of hands, who was able to envision everything he just read? Imagine a child. Okay. All right. I think I'm done. Angie, am I doing a good job? Because he just like broke it down in a way. And for what age group is that, Tony? I'm gonna pick on you.
I think early reader, so 5 to even up to 9 years old. I think is my target audience.
I will say 3 to like 9, just fine. Which, you know, you could say nursery grade all the way to 2nd grade. Let's say like that. That's 9. Who believes a 3-year-old all the way to a 9th grader will understand this book Tony just read? Right. Who believes the child will be able to follow the story just based on illustrations? Let's say if Tony didn't read it and just share the illustrations. Who believes, based on this class that Mrs. Mack just put together, based on her experience with books, feels that a child will attempt reading on their own based on what Tony just read? Because they're able to see and experience with their dad in a very simple way, and you just guided them from beginning to the complex of being stuck in the car all the way to the end. And that was what my day was with my dad. Okay, beautiful. That's great. Kudos
I have
to
a
you.
question.
Go ahead.
Is the dad a single dad, or is that someone that is separated?
Yeah, it's coming from the perspective of a child living in separate homes. So that's what my passion is to tell the story of my kids and how they might feel, and when they share their stories with me, and that's where I'm going with what I'm trying to do.
Which is great that you picked up on that, Carissa, because you could already see the family dynamic based on the fact that he's only concentrating on one side of the family, which is still a complete family, whether it's mom or dad, that is still a complete family.
I like it even more, actually. Just the fact
I know,
that you did
that's
that,
exactly.
because he's very subtle what you did. And yeah, I like it a lot. So thank you for bringing that perspective as well.
And that perspective, you have to share it on the author's note. I wrote the story because yada, 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 yada. You get it? Okay, so let me put back the teaching hat because it's 3:31 and y'all want to learn something. That's why you got me, right? Like you're done with me talking so much. Okay, hiring an illustrator. You want to hire an illustrator that aligns with your book's vision and elevates your work. One important secret is to hire illustrators that make you feel, makes the reader curious about the book. Here's an example of books that draw readers in, okay? And they do it starting with the book cover. That's how I hire an illustrator. If I see their portfolio and their portfolio looks amazing, and let's say I want my book illustrator to get me in schools, I am already have a set illustrator in mind. For people that are doing comics or that genre, I'm gonna tell you, you have 3 times a harder job, because one of the challenges of comics is that it's kind of like an adult, right? Like a lot of the comics that you see, they look very adult-like, and you have to be careful that it doesn't look lewd. An example of lewd, sometimes they draw women comics that it's like very visible, their body, right? Like you see like some, and I'm gonna tell you, as soon as something looks lewd, you cannot pitch it to a school. I guarantee you it's gonna turn down. So for those that are into comic books, And those kind of like more looking more adult, that's a little tidbit I'm going to share. And I learned that at the Schomburg event and also with Scholastics. I already knew that, but it really came through more and more. For the purposes of this class, I will tell you, pick an illustrator that picks bright colors, because that's very important, and someone that draws the reader in, okay? So here's some examples of covers that do that. So I want you to start looking at these covers and notice what they have in common. Like, you could pick which one from this you think is bringing you in. From this page, you guys are probably thinking, all these books have gotten like big accolades based on the cover alone. This one won a lot of awards. This one and that, The Proudest Blue, based on their covers and because of the uniqueness of their story. There's some more. Okay, Annie, go ahead. You raised your hand.
Where would you find the illustrators? They're like a database, or you just Google?
I'm gonna get to that. This is why this class is so important, because while you are the producer, I'm gonna choose that word. You guys are producers of your stories. And if you self-publish, the biggest recommendation I could give you is hire an illustrator that you could work well with. And I think Angie and I have many experiences where a lot of writers get really screwed by the illustrator. Okay, so look at these illustrations. Do people like these illustrations? You could be honest. If these are not your favorite, that's fine. We're gonna do a little searching. But like, could you see why these books stand out in their right? And why these books that I picked have gotten lots of accolades? Does it make sense? Okay. There are various sites that you can find illustrators from. Fiverr, here's the website, Behance, social media platforms such as Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, and other social media platforms. Illustrators are now showcasing their work on TikTok. I would not recommend hiring someone on TikTok. That is my personal experience. Wait,
but those same illustrators that you find on Fiverr could be on TikTok, or the same ones that are on social media decide to open a TikTok to just get more clients.
I know, but you should, if you find them on TikTok, you should go to Fiverr or go to Behance, because they're going to be at a more budget-friendly price. When you go to TikTok, they're charging a lot more.
Wait, so don't they have the link to their portfolio on TikTok?
Sometimes they do, but sometimes they're charging.
So they would create different, first of all, my suggestion is look for references. Like, if these people don't have a portfolio and they've never done this work before, I'm not interested.
Agreed.
If I don't see samples of your work, or also Google.
Angie, I'm getting to that, Angie, because Mom, me and you are on the same page. Hold on.
I was just like stuck on, wait a minute, everybody is on TikTok sharing their business. They just cross promotion. So why wouldn't you?
I'm going to give you two insights that I learned. A lot of people are doing cross promotion. Like, I have a TikTok account, I have an Instagram account. What happens if you are a famous illustrator and you start using pseudo names to still get more money and find self-published writers who want to collaborate on work? The reason I'm saying be careful with TikTok is because either A, are you reaching the real illustrator? You might be contacting what they use as like a pen name or a pseudo name, so they could still be using that. Their prices sometimes are never listed when it comes to TikTok. It's almost like contact me here for work. I would defer, in my experience, because it's very transparent, Fiverr, Behance, and Instagram and Facebook and Twitter. A lot of them are all there looking for work, but now TikTok has become another spot that they're looking, but they don't have to be as transparent on how much they're going to cost you. And I'm telling you this, if you're looking for a budget-friendly illustrator. What is budget-friendly? It really depends on how much you could afford to pay an illustrator. I'm just trying to make you guys not pay someone like $5,000 for a project. I'm trying to make something like in a very accommodating fee. So when hiring a freelance consultant, whether it's vital to consider the following. Your budget is something you can afford when learning about service rates. Usually you will get an estimate per 1-page illustration or a spot art. Just to repeat, I know I said what spot art is. It's like half a page or like less than a hand, or anything ranging from 10 to 12 pictures. So usually if it's a children's picture book, a lot of them say for a children's picture book, are you looking for anything from 10 to 12 pages? Are they all full spread? If you say full spread, that means it's a double page illustration, okay? Or half pages will be considered spot art. Do a comprehensive search on Amazon, their social media platforms, and view their catalog of work. This is how you know if the person is good, right? See the other books they've written. Look at who are some of the authors they worked with. Make sure if you hire an illustrator that is not via Fiverr to have them sign an NDA and a contract. This is new to me. I'm going to be honest. This is something I learned the hard way, and I really recommend people doing that to protect their intellectual property as well as their idea for their project. Now I'm gonna stop because I see Angie's face. Go ahead, Angie.
Girl, I'm working on something else. Do not mind my face. I'm
Okay.
listening to you, but I'm working on something.
Okay, but I'm covering it. I promise you, I'm doing it one at a time. Okay, anyone has any questions? Let me stop this share because I just shared a lot of information. But this this assignment that we're gonna do is really gonna give you an idea how we're gonna start looking for an illustrator.
I have a quick question. Have you worked with illustrators from the Dominican Republic?
I have. Stephanie Mesa is the person whose new book comes out with mine. It's called The Secret of the Plátano.
So she doesn't live in DR.
No, she lives in DR.
She does?
Yeah.
Find it like more cost effective, or was it just as expensive?
Just as expensive. I would say Dominicans charge me more.
Really? Okay. I thought it would be like cost effective because of the
but I also, I'm gonna be honest. I also asked them. I have learned to buy the copyright. So I'm gonna get into this in the class, and I know Angie knows this. I try to animate a lot of my books, right? What does that mean for an illustrator? An illustrator is gonna tell me, I will illustrate your book. It costs tanto. It costs, let's say 2,000, which is not rare. It's usually under 1,200 or 2,000. Then they say, I'm charging you this only for the illustrations of the book. If you're gonna animate, I have to charge you a tax on that. So then you own the copyright. There's some illustrators that are gonna tax you on the copyright and also say, hey, since you're animating, I also want you to pay me a royalty. I'm not making it like that. But I'm teaching you guys to think like that because it is a business. So you are not going to be coming out with a lot of money as a self-published author to illustrate, to work with an illustrator, to pay for a copyright, and then pay them a royalty fee. So you never, like, you don't, does that make sense? I'll say it again. You're working on a book, okay? We all got that, right? We're working on a book. Let's say it's a small book. Let's say the project is 10 illustrations. They're gonna charge you for the 10 illustrations. That's including cover and back cover. 10 illustrations, let's say 8 internal pages. The 2 is the front, the last 2 are gonna be the front cover and the back cover. Let's say you wanna own those images. Those images you just paid for. They're gonna charge you an additional $300 minimum to $1,000 for copyrights. Did that sink in? Did that sink in? Because although you wrote the story, they are helping you create it, and they too want to be respected as the creator. So I usually always, I believe in respecting and elevating people's work. So I will always give illustrators credit, but I cannot pay what they call, I'll pay the copyright because I mean, I own the pictures I paid for. So I don't have to ask them permission to keep using it, right? Because if I pay for the copyright, then that's it, I'm done. They are for work for hire illustrator. Let's say if the illustrator says, well, you have to pay for the illustrations, right? And you could pay for the copyright, but on top of the copyright fee, I want you to also pay me royalties. There's some illustrators that do that. That is a little too rich for my blood because I'm not monetizing like that. But that is something I want everyone to walk away saying, I didn't know, I know now. So when you walk into talk to an illustrator, know this from the get. What is it that you want as an illustrator? So I am prepared to know if I A, could work with you, B, if this is gonna make sense, and C, either we continue the relationship or I, as an author, need to understand the business of exploring for other illustrators. Annie, I know you have a question. I'm not ignoring you. I just want to finish this. I'm going to share this last thing and then I'll take your question, okay? So I don't, tú sabes, no, la cana no me salga. Lastly, set up a meeting when deciding to work with a freelance illustrator outside of Fiverr. It's someone you connected with via social media platform or Behance. That way you get an idea of communication, whether that person and you could talk well about a project. Rates. And if you have to redo an image, if there's a charge applied to that, let me tell you, sometimes if you and an illustrator agree to work on something, and let's say the illustrations don't come out the way you like them, some illustrators will charge you to redo an image. I'll say it again. An illustrator might charge you to redo an image. So you want to get all these questions out on the first meeting. So there's no hidden agendas. There's no surprise, no shock. Also, if you want to make sure the illustrations you hired the illustrator to do are exclusive to your project, you must pay for copyright. That's what I'm talking about the additional fee for you to own that right. And at times illustrators will charge you a fee for that. If you're hiring an illustrator for a project that includes copyright, make sure you get the source files. Make sure you get all the layers, whether they give it to you as an EPUB, I forgot how the term, but I could walk you through that. Okay, Annie, you're up, sorry.
No, it's okay. You actually partially answered it because I was wondering, when you do find an illustrator that you're gonna work with, like are you guys like working on a website together, like collaboratively, or they're just sending you the stuff and then you put in the text and then?
Don't worry about the text. The text comes last. I'm going to be honest with you. I know where you're getting at. So okay. Do you mind if I jump in and just help you answer it? Okay. If I'm working with someone, let's say on Fiverr, which is my first example, they are supposed to, here, let me do it like this. Okay. Fiverr, when you go to Fiverr, here's an example. You will see, this is the post. I will make an African-American character for your children's book. Basic. Basic means this is the basic work that they'll do for you. And you pay as you go. So you pay for level one sketch of a character design, one figure, one full body. I don't like this deal because look where it says source file. I don't have access to the source file. So that's not a good deal for me. Does that make sense? But let's say if I take this just to see what they do, then I continue and pay their $10. Then they have like 2 to 3 days to do this work and send it to me through the platform, and I get to see what they give me. I could either A, accept it, or B, deny it. I'm using Fiverr because Fiverr is the most friendliest way to hire an illustrator. Does this make sense? Look at this, standard and premium. There's a standard part, and this is a premium part. There's more to it, okay? So can I just continue, Annie, or you still have a question because your hand is up? Okay. So let's do, if I go with the standard version, it costs $30. This is an example, but then I'm gonna make you guys look so you could get familiar with this. One character in a simple and color illustration. So what does this give me? I'm paying for one page, one figure, high resolution, background. That means that picture has a background. In color, it's not black and white. That means it's fully colored, full body, and I have commercial use. That's good, but that's not good enough. I want the source file. That means I could edit it, I could animate it, I could put it on a t-shirt. I'm not gonna be hit with some issue in the long run. To me, that's important. And if I could teach one thing to protect you is get the source file. And using Fiverr, you don't have to deal with contracts because this protects you, what you're paying for. Does that make sense? So let's continue. Premium. Premium is an expensive level, right? It's $50. But guess what I get? I get 3 figures. I can ask for one page, 3 figures, the source file, that's what I want. High resolution, the background scene, color, full body, and commercial. So now I know that to work with this person is $50 and they hit a lot of my quotas. This is using Fiverr. I don't have to do a copyright. I don't have to do, I see you, Maria. Let me just finish the sentence and I got you. I don't have to do an NDA contract because the platform kind of protects me already. Okay, go ahead, Mariela.
So since it's part of that platform, because what I'm trying to see, because scamming is like at an all-time high.
Yeah.
So what I'm trying to understand is because it's on the Fiverr platform, let's say you got the Illustrator from there and then you see that they use like your Pequeña Maria like animation and you see it on like their Instagram or like you see it on like their TikTok because they're using that to like promote what they do. Is that still a part? Like, because what I'm trying to get at is how do I fully know that like they're not gonna use whatever animation or illustration they made for me?
So I'm gonna be honest. I've been scammed by other illustrators and Fiverr. I had some issues with Fiverr in the past, but as soon as I report a problem, my money is reimbursed. Okay. They do reimburse me.
I'm like, but what about the rights to the
The
image?
rights, for the rights, I haven't had that example that someone has duplicated the work on Fiverr. But I know if you contact them, I do know that they do try to resolve it. I haven't had that experience, but I had that issue with using an illustrator that was recommended, and sometimes you have to, that's why I suggest people see, if someone's recommending an illustrator, Google them on Amazon. Google their name. All those books are gonna pop up. If you don't believe me, Google them on using the Google search site. You should be able to see what they've done. Because then you can see if things are recycled. I mean, it's hard. I'm not gonna tell you it's easy, but since, everyone does things in a different way, I'll still teach you how to protect yourself. And let me continue. Does that help, Mariela? I don't wanna act like I'm not answering your question.
No, so I'm thinking, when you request these images, they're custom made to your book.
It is.
Right?
It's supposed to.
Right? And it's not like like I would be concerned with the layout and designer person.
That's
right, because they're the ones who are putting the text on the images. And they could just take your book and sell it as their own. But with illustrations, they don't have the story behind it. They only have what it is that you want on that page.
So that's another one. I've started using Fiverr for the designer person. I have used designers outside of Fiverr. I even used someone on Behance. It was okay. So far, I haven't had that issue. My main issue is, and I know you and I have talked about this in the background, Angie, is the illustrator you work with. Know what they're working on, because sometimes even though it's a different story, they might recycle an image. And we've seen someone
change it up a little bit and
bit.
sell it to somebody else.
Yeah. I'm going to tell you something embarrassing that happened. I went to do a public speaking event at a public school. The principal thought she met me. She actually met another Dominican writer. You already know who it was about. And she's like, we already read this book. And when she saw my face, she's like, I've never met you before. Oh, I'm sorry. It's just because the images are the same. You know how embarrassed I was? And that's how I kind of stopped working with this illustrator, because then, well, there was many reasons, but I started seeing that she has recycled a lot of the illustrations and she had benefited from working with self-published writers. So that's something you have to be
When you mean
careful.
recycled, is it like it had like the likeness of your character, but in a complete?
That's recycled, yes, in a complete different book. Let me say I make a book called Mariela and someone else made a book called Tinina, and it looks like the same Mariela character. Except this one might have like a pink bow and mine has a yellow bow.
That's what I'm scared of right there.
But honestly, and like this is just my experience, and now I'm like almost 20 books in. I haven't had that experience in Fiverr. I've had it more working with recommended illustrators. Because Fiverr does protect you. When you have an issue, you're like, hi Fiverr, I have this issue. I'm really concerned because I paid for this. And it says source file and it says commercial use. Oh, I'm sorry, here's your money back. The end. Okay, let me continue. Now, since I talked a lot and you guys know I don't like talking so much, and I think I want to make sure that you guys all learn from what I'm talking about. And this class is less writing because we're learning how to work with others, and especially for early book readers where we have to sell our stories with our images. So let's do a search to find an illustrator. I will give you 5 minutes. You can search for any of the ways we learn to find an illustrator. Make sure to note illustrators that grab your attention and write down all the information you can find on them. So let's search Fiverr. You could put when you search Fiverr, you could do a children's book illustrator and a lot will come up. You could use Behance. You could look Instagram or Facebook or Twitter or whichever platform you like. If you want to use TikTok, go ahead, let's do it. Let's see what's available. I am giving you 5 minutes. Okay, I'm going to give you 5 minutes because I want to see what you come up with, and it should be more than 2 illustrators in those 5 minutes. Write it all down. So start now, because you know it takes me a minute to put the timer. And I'm going to just put my camera off, but I'm here, guys, okay? Hey guys, 1 minute and 40 seconds. How are we doing? I'm gonna stop the share because we're almost coming on time and want to talk to you guys. Okay. Oh, Tatiana, that's a great question. Why don't you need an NDA if they are on Fiverr? Is it included? Okay, if I'll go back to that part when we're looking at Fiverr, but hold on, we're almost coming in 1 minute and 9 seconds. So I'll let everyone share in a second and then I'll answer your question just to be fair, okay? Okay, we got 57 seconds. Hold on. Okay, we got 35 seconds. How's everyone doing? Everyone doing good? Thank you. And give me, you didn't bring paper towel? Okay, sorry. I got hungry, guys. I'm sorry. Okay, 4, 3, 2, 1, and we're stopping now. Okay, who wants to share first who they saw on Fiverr, on Behance, or on Instagram? The illustrators that caught their eye and why, and what they learned about them.
Okay, I'm telling everyone to shush first. Okay, so I went I went the Amazon route first. And I don't know if you guys have seen I Color Myself Different. It's like the Colin Kaepernick children's book. And so I went on Amazon and I looked it up because I really love like the illustrations and the backgrounds because they're bright, but they're also like really soft. And so it said that the artist is Eric Wilkerson. And so he does have an account on Amazon. So I was able to click and see like his profile. And then it says that like he's an award-winning illustrator. So I know since it says award-winning, that's obviously that's like, you know.
Award-winning, you know what it means? 30,000 and up.
Right. That's what I'm assuming. But it's interesting because it also says like it has links to his work. So it says client list. Disney, Marvel, Scholastic, Nickelodeon, the Blue Man Group, Random House, Imagine FX, and Tops. So this is like official, like type of guy, right? And then it says like it has his contact info, but it says that he's represented by like the agency, and so his contact info for commissions and availability is like an agent. So go ahead.
I have a secret for you. He could probably be he's pretty high up in the food chain, but for the ones that are represented by agent, will go by a pen name and start another account just so they could keep bringing in the dough.
Oh, because their agents always get a percentage of what's coming in. Oh, got it. Okay.
And I learned that through my publisher. I was like, oh, that's the hustle. So once you know the hustle,
I have a question.
You can be on hustle.
Right. No, for real. I have a quick question and let me know if you want to answer this at the end, but would you be able to give us price ranges of like how much it would cost overall when you were doing it, like fully funding it yourself versus how much it was costing with a publisher?
Oh, guys, I'm gonna show you my 2020 year. I think I could show you 2019 or 2020 and I'll give you an idea. Okay. And I could share with you one illustrator that I'm happy to share with you. I'm like very stingy with sharing work because I don't want to be in that weird area that
Luz has been burned.
I've been burned too many times.
Luz has seen her illustrations in other people's books.
I have had a person say, I love your work so much. And then like tell the illustrator, go, I want her same work. I want to see her book before it's out. And then they try the same thing. So I could share one, but because I ain't using them. But it won't be that person. Don't worry about it. I won't be that person. Okay. Anyone else before I jump to Tatiana's question? Because this is a really great question. Anything that you saw that you liked from the Illustrator? Go ahead, Gelda.
I just looked up on Google and I got Lori Friedman. She's a woman of color. NAACP Image Award. She's 62, so there's maturity, and she wrote. She designed the books for Hidden Figure. Nikki and I forget. I didn't write that properly. Anyway, Stanley, Standing on My Shoulders, and Fancy Party. So I guess, like you say, looking for images that you think appeal to you, that's who you try to go for. But again, you have to be price conscious. You have to know your budget. And, we have to crawl before we walk.
So that's why I suggested
sometimes
fiber.
That's why, like the fiber, because when Mariela said 30,000, I said, gosh, like who does that?
I said 30,000 because you said award winner.
Oh.
And, okay, so this is the secret. Anything that you see award winning illustrator, they're not doing something under 30 to 50,000.
That's a Grammy award winning.
Per book. Per book, by the way.
What do you mean per book?
Because they're represented by an agent.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
So they have to pay that agent from those coins they're getting per book.
What is the percentage? Is it like lawyer's fee, 30%?
I don't have an agent, but I know they get something. I'll tell you that much.
It's like 10, 15%, something like that.
But it's supposed to, but I don't have one to say, like, I know for a fact that it's like that. Angie might know more because she's brought a lot of agents in the platform to talk and give advice. Okay, so I'm gonna jump to Tatiana's question. Great question. It's not that you don't, and I'm gonna be very clear that you don't need them to sign an NDA, but the platform protects you. In Behance, you do need an NDA. I heard in Behance, you're just making the connection. Think about it like matchmaker. I don't know, like you're just matching with someone and then you're gonna work with them, right? But in Fiverr, you're only working per order. Let's say on Fiverr, I like your art. I see how much you're pricing for an individual work. I want to work on a project with you, and I'm going to need 20 illustrations. They'll send you a custom offer, right? The custom offer is based on your book. So now you got that order to protect you. Me and them agreed on this custom offer, and based on that, and in the custom offer, you're defining what you want. That's a big difference. So it is done with that protection in mind. Of one, the freelancer gets paid. You as the person, the producer, is being protected for your work, right? On that, the platform is going to make sure that both parties are happy, right? You're not going to disrespect the artist. You're going to pay them what you guys agreed on based on the offer. If you don't like the offer, you say no. That's it, and no deal, right?
Okay.
Because the worst thing you want is work with someone that's saying not on Behance and on Fiverr. You agree to a price, which I've seen happen. It has happened to me. We agreed on $1,800. Oh, but you know what? Porque tú me caes mal hoy, it's $3,000. You have to protect yourself, folks. I'm going to continue because I think you guys are going to be happy with what's next.
I think you just scare the crap out of people when getting an illustrator.
I actually want people to be
Cautious.
It's worse than writing the book.
It is.
That's the easy part.
That's the easy part. She's right. Damn, Angie, you're right.
It's good to know though, because sometimes like when you're going through this process, you kind of have like this fantasy that it's just going to like all work out. You don't really think about all these little I never thought about that at all. Like that somebody would just like run off with your stuff or like
Hold it hostage.
I'm gonna
It will
admit,
literally hold your illustrations hostage.
Angie and I had conversations where we were trying to help someone about a book because they came to Angie for help. We talked to the person and the illustrator held their project hostage. They couldn't even publish their own book. So what do you do? Go ahead. I don't have the answer for that, by the way, so don't try asking that
No,
question.
well, no. I'm just trying to figure out what would be a reason for an illustrator to hold something hostage, even if you've made payment plans. Like, what would be a reason for that? Like, what would cause that to happen?
I do not have an answer for that. That's
You
what
don't? Okay.
I really don't. It happens. So it happened. I'm gonna tell you something because I want all these frowns to go upside down, like up again. My best relationship with an illustrator is gonna be Stephanie Mesa. I think she lives in La Capital. Amazing person. When we started, I was very scared and paranoid to work with her. She was very easy. She was recommended by an illustrator, and I kept hearing good things about her work. We had a couple of meetings. I told her, I'm pitching this book to publishers. I pitched the book to 75 publishers. It almost got picked up 3 times, and it didn't because every time I was gonna come close to the deal with the other publishers, like something kind of made me hold off because that book was so special to me. And it was a book for my grandmother who's no longer with us. It was based on a dream I had with her, and I wrote a book based on that. So the point of me sharing this is that even Stephanie said it's a very special book. Make sure that we're having a great time putting this book together. Whoever you make a deal with, that you're happy with it. And that's the kind of relationship I wanted with all my illustrators going forward, that it feels collaborative. Like we could have a business call and it's not like, oh my God, like something horrible, like, you know what I mean? So the other thing is she came with her paperwork. Before I agreed to work with her, I saw her paperwork. What were her demands? I respected her even more. If I'm gonna write these illustrations for you, my name has to be there. Perfect, check, that's a check. That's, good for her. If you want to use my illustrations, I have to sell you my source file. It was reasonable. We made a payment plan. I don't make a lot of money. So I paid in installments. That happens. We discussed even that. So when my book got picked up, it was also in a high note. And even the publisher said, I was so happy that I worked on this book with you guys because everything was on a high note. Like it was dealing with professionals. Stephanie had worked with Mack. So she already came with her accolade. So she already knew how she wanted to work. It's very different because sometimes you have people that have accolades and they're not very humble to work with, and it's not a great experience. So you're paying for someone with that knowledge, and some things I didn't like, and it was easy to work with her. Okay, what don't you like? Let's edit it together. That's what you want. You want collaboration and experience. You do not want, and I'm going to tell you this flat out, if you want it, that's another story. You do not want someone that has years of experience and doesn't want to hear your thoughts on your book. Because then they're just doing a book, not your book. They're doing the book for them. So that's my experience on that. So let me get.
Going to be hesitant, like they're going to be resistant to change on your feedback.
Yes, I've seen that. I've seen that so much. It's horrible. I saw an illustrator told an author, after she said that she loves, the author works on diversity initiatives in her books, that she doesn't draw Black people. But they had already been in a contract.
But how doesn't she say that from the get-go?
She didn't say that in the get-go, but then she found out the hard way. So that's how smart I want you guys to be. Your contract, if it's about the book, I'm writing a book on this and that. You are coming on as a freelance illustrator, and I'm gonna write you something generic and you guys could adapt to your way. So you guys have to, like, as writers, if you're gonna self-publish a book, make sure you protect yourself, because I've learned the hard way. So moving on, what is an NDA? A non-disclosure agreement is a legally binding contract that establishes a confidential relationship. The party or parties signing the agreement agree that sensitive information they may obtain will not be made available to any others. An NDA may also be referred as a confidentiality agreement. You will provide something like this to a client, or you could erase that, to a freelance illustrator here, and you're the and let's say if it's in an organization, you could put it like that. You could put their organization's name, you put a date, and then you have everyone sign. You could keep all the information provided, or business related, or marketing plans, or anything that you discuss during that meeting, confidential. Disclose this information is solely to the individuals who have signed the agreement. The only people that you should be talking to freely are the people that signed that agreement, because that means I trust you that we are thinking about that project. And then you put the date and the month and the year of the parties that sign it. But most importantly, you could add to this. You could say, I am sharing the book, The Three Little Pigs. You cannot share this with A, publishers, B, interested parties, with blah, 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 blah. It should, make sure you put everything on it. Like, make sure that your book, you feel protected by what you're putting. I want to make sure that you know that once you sign it, it is a legal document. They're going to hold you to these standards, and you can hold them accountable. Okay? Going forward, give me 2 seconds, I'll be there. A freelance illustrator contract is a legal contract that establishes a relationship between a freelancer and a client seeking services from the freelancer. It helps both sides establish and understand what the freelancer will be working on and how much the client will be paying them for their services. I recommend you do something generic, but it also lays out what you need from a freelance illustrator, okay? I will be providing this, okay? So this is an example. You're going to be putting agreement to commission illustration for original work. The date is effective once you sign this contract, and making sure that the terms, if royalty payment is a must, you put 0 if you're not going to give them royalty, so they understand and they don't come back and bite you in the ass saying, oh no, but I understood I was getting. Make sure you line everything out, saying I am paying this person for the source files because I am going to use it for merchandise. So I'm already paying you the copyright, I'm paying you for these illustrations. Make sure you add everything that you're paying for and what you're wanting for your artwork. Does this make sense? I know we're talking a lot about the relationship with an illustrator, and this page on the contract is going to be a lot longer, okay? Because you're going to edit and modify it to your things, and then I'm going to ask you to you might, before you work with someone that's not on Fiverr, talk to an attorney or someone of what they recommend. Because the thing is, like, whatever you write becomes a legal document, right? But you want to also be protected and go to an attorney to see how to go about this. One thing I learned from my current publisher is that she said, before I worked with any author or illustrator, they had to sign all my questions, all the paperwork, and it was part of their illustrations and artwork and content contract, because that way there's no funny business.
Yeah,
okay?
So for lawyers, if you guys are looking for lawyers to ask questions, you could reach out to the Authors Guild. They provide free consultations, and they also have, like, I believe, like a membership fee that you could apply for, and they will reply to your questions. They also have a YouTube channel which with a lot of this information on legalities and contracts and business for authors, things that you should know. So I highly recommend that you follow their YouTube channel.
Thank you. I was just
Authors,
gonna-
the Authors Guild. I'll
Guild.
put it in the chat how it's spelled.
Okay, Gilda, you have the first hand up, and then it's Annie.
Yeah,
And Carissa, you said
Sorry.
repeat the name
hi
again.
again. Well, that was my concern because with regards to the lawyer, because because I'm an artist and and I've done copyright and all of that. I just wanted to make sure that in this realm that I could get a lawyer, like to see if it's viable at this stage, even with Fiverr, because Fiverr seems kind of like it's a comfort place that you can trust based on what you said. So I was kind of like, still with Fiverr, you should get a lawyer.
I didn't say Fiverr. I said when you're working with a illustrator
Outside.
from Behance or social media,
Outside
someone
of
that
that.
you may, because on Fiverr, I haven't had those issues.
Okay.
As soon as there's an issue, I contact the platform.
All right. And with the disclosure, that's another question I have. You still have to take a risk, but have you ever seen anyone sign a disclosure and speak to someone else, and then you can't connect that communication that they two had? Like, that's another thing that I'm kind of like.
Wait, I don't understand the question.
Like, let's say I have, you've signed a disclosure and you promise and you sign it, you're not going to say anything. But here you go and I don't know that you're linked with Dominican writers, and here you go and you tell Angie. And then Angie tells somebody, how do you backtrack with a disclosure form that something shady went beyond your back? It's hard, right?
You need proof.
Exactly. So
I don't, because
if you don't have tangible proof, girl, just swallow it and keep on moving.
All right,
because if you want to take someone to civil court for a breach of contract, you need proof.
And I think the purpose of the NDA is more that person didn't take your idea and ran with it and did another book.
Right.
Like in my point, like another Little Maria book. Go ahead, Annie.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
I was going to ask if you are using, let's say, like photographs. If you're using somebody like photographs, you would do the same process. Like you would have to hire a photographer to add the pictures in your book.
No, for photographers, it's different because you have to sign when you even go to a studio, they make you sign something when you're working with a
sign a consent form.
Yeah. And I think you just take their images because you're paying for the images. That's why they charge so much sometimes. You have to deal with a designer who's going to lay out your text with. So guys, I'm going to say this again because I don't want it to get confused. All we're talking about is working with the person for the picture. The designer who puts the picture, the text, and everything pretty. I'll say something at the end, the designer. It comes a little bit later. This is just more like, we're going to work with someone to start bringing your ideas to life. This is it. And usually illustrators don't design because they charge more if they design and format. That's formatting issues. Does that make sense? And for the purposes of this class and a lot of the classes, I want you guys, I'm just going to take a step back. I want you to start thinking about your story, working with the illustrator, editing it down. And then a lot of these things you have to give designers when you find them outside of Fiverr. Like if you're finding a designer that's recommended. Okay, let me share again. Am I sharing? You see, why is a copyright important? Okay, it protects literary work, musical work, films, artistic work for an unlimited time. It has no limit, right? Prevention of monetary loss, legal protection, ownership of intellectual property. A lot of people use something called the poor man's copyright, right? It's okay, I wouldn't recommend it. we should really be using this, register your work through this portal to do the copyright. I'm gonna just do this, okay? And show you, hold on, let me just put it in the chat so you guys can get it. And the recap of the email that I sent and with Angie's video, I'll make sure you have this. This is the United States Copyright Office. You're supposed to register your work here. I believe it's $75. It's not that bad. You're supposed to register through a portal. You're supposed to put in, once you register, you do a login, you're supposed to write your work. I ask you, who contributed to this work, right? Who wrote this work? Did you write it with another friend? So do you have two authors? You know what I mean? Is it one body of work? If you're working on a series, you're gonna have to protect each and every one differently. This is new, because before you used to put one series together and you could protect everything for the same price. But you know, times are hard, and in COVID, they want more money for everything. So now you have to protect everything individual. Like for example, Harry Potter, the first book, she has a copyright for that. She actually has a trademark for that as well. Copyright for book 2, trademark for book 2, all the way to all her books. All right. I recommend you do the copyright as soon as it's text, like a manuscript, like almost like your final PDF version, right? Your final, this is without illustrations, just your text, you're protecting your work. And even if things change, it doesn't matter. You're gonna get a seal. I could show you how a seal looks like. Do you guys wanna see it so you understand what you're looking at once the copyright approves your work? Let me get that. Give me a second. I have it. I think I have a. All right, I have here it is. So I wrote this story. So they're going to send you a certificate of registration, the registration number. That means when anyone looks it up, they're like, oh, she owns this body of work. The title change is not Under the Plátano Tree anymore. It's The Secret of the Plátano, but it's the same thing. I could edit it. It's fine. It's still registered at me. Rights and permission go to me. It has all my information. Okay. So that's an example. Okay, so let me just move on from here. Have to go back. All right. Okay. All right. That's the last slide on how to protect yourself. And it's 4:30. So the next 30 minutes, I'm going to leave it for questions because I just went through a lot of legal things. And I see all of your faces, and I don't know if you hate me or love me. Angie, you can start with me. Go ahead, beat me up. Go ahead.
I was gonna say something and I forgot what it was. It was when you were on the for the copyright page. So the copyright page, it gets really confusing and they change it up all the time. So they have a frequently asked questions that are super helpful. They also have a video where they walk you through the process.
I'll put it up.
Look through all that, get informed before you start filling anything out. Okay, just so you know that you're filling out the correct, that you're copywriting in the correct area. Okay, because it does get a little bit convoluted. And I remember years ago, it was like $55 to copyright. Now
I think it's $75 now.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
I just want to share, and Columbia, all the legal schools like Columbia, Cordova School of Law, if you go and call them up, they have kind of like a referral free, to help you out. I got help that when I did my copyright for something, actually it was a trademark. They helped me out a lot, Columbia. it's hit or miss sometimes. They're very overwhelmed, but reach out to them. New York, NYU, Cordova School of Law, and Columbia. I know that for a fact that they'll help you out. And if you have any kind of questions, and they are really good. I had an amazing woman, young lady, and she helped me out because it gets convoluted. Though trademarks and the copyright. The copyright is not as hard as a trademark. I have a trademark and it almost drove me insane.
So
It's scary.
I didn't go into trademark because a trademark is close to $2,000. Now it is $2,000. I would rather you protect your intellectual property. If you do
definitely.
if you do a series or like a large body of work, right? Then do the trademark.
Yeah.
So that's why I didn't even add that.
Yeah, it's crazy.
So I would stick to copyright. That's my opinion. Angie, you're more senior than me. What would your recommendation be?
I haven't done any trademark.
So it is very.
I will refer you to someone who does trademarks, so you can ask them all the questions you want. But
And the other issue with trademark is that you have to pay every year.
Boy.
So
Just
go
make
ahead.
sure if you're registering a trademark that you're actually making money off of it. That is not just sitting there and you invested all this money into it.
And I am still not making money on my series like I want to, but I have gotten far enough that I'm talking to media companies. So
Yeah.
it's important for me.
Yeah,
to
but you're
have a
working
media
on it. Some people aren't.
Yeah, like that's like, for example, I was at Schaumburg, they paid for my stuff because they're like, oh, she's a professional, I'm gonna pay for her stuff. We want her there. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Go ahead, Tatiana. I see your hands up.
Thanks. I was curious, should you, or if I want to involve beta readers, should I then make sure that I'm done and then I have a copyright and have them sign an NDA? Okay.
That's how it goes.
That's kind of what I was curious about.
The thing about beta readers, and I know we touched upon it, I think I when I was on my way to Indianapolis this week, I send you a link, Angie, to the people that were looking for in Facebook, that they were looking for some volunteer readers, right? Some beta readers would ask you, if I'm signing all this, I have to pay for it. Like you have to pay for them to read your work. I want you to avoid that because you guys are starting out.
Wait, what do you mean pay? Oh, you mean pay the readers?
You have to pay some beta readers. So I would invite you, if you need beta readers, to get on some Facebook groups. And I'm gonna add that to, let me just add that right now, a note for myself, the Facebook groups. So when you do new beta readers, you can say, hey guys, I'm working on something. I'm looking for someone who could look at my work.
Send it to Luz. Just send it to Luz.
I'm starting a new job. I don't know.
And avoid all that. Also, you know, I don't know if you mentioned it during your conversation with beta readers. So just be careful, because don't be swayed by everyone's opinion. Just be very intentional about what you want to convey in your story, and don't allow folks to just, I don't know, because there's some people who are like stuck on their story. This is how I'm gonna be, and their story is great, and then somebody comes through and be like, well, I don't think you should do, and then you go and you change the whole story, and then it loses all the magic that was in it in the first place, right? So, you know, when it comes to beta reader, it's like, why would you want a beta reader? Ask yourself that question, right? What is in your story that requires a beta reader? Is it cultural sensitivity? Is it, you know, like impairment sensitivity? Maybe something psychological that you're including in there, right? What else, Luz?
I include Carissa, who's on this call, who blacked out her face, but you can see her name, Carissa, to read all my books. That's one person. But I also ask her, do you get it? Like, just how she asked Tony, hey, Tony, is this about a single dad? Like, because she has that key ability to read in between the lines and kind of see what the author is getting. Besides Carissa, there's another author I send it to. There's a couple of authors that I trust, but I would tell you, I agree with Angie, be very, very careful, but sometimes you just need to see what's out there. That's it. Like
Right.
you have to build the trust. And I'm glad that we're like a small pot of people, right? So you guys can make friends and start getting to know people
And
here.
become each other's beta readers.
It is. And yeah, but I would not, your family should be last. Your best friends should be last. It should be other writers.
Right. There was
Okay.
something else. Oh, recently I had a consultation with this young woman who wanted to publish a book. She is very light-skinned and blonde. Okay, she's Dominican, light-skinned and blonde.
Which
So
happens.
she was letting me know that she's writing this book about blonde white girls who don't have. So basically she felt marginalized because she's like, I can't find hair products for my daughter who is like, I don't see representation for my kid in books. And I'm just like, what? Are you reading the book? Because she said that she couldn't find any representation of her light-skinned child with light brown hair or blonde hair in books. And to me,
I'm gonna stay quiet because you know how I feel about that.
I don't know how I contained what I really wanted to say, but she was just like, how should I go about this? And I was like, look, you need to be very careful about this. And I said to her, I suggest that you get beta readers that are mothers and ask them. I told her, create a Google form with the questions and have people anonymously complete it once they read your story, because there's plenty of books out there of white kids.
Okay, guys, I'm gonna be I love what Angie said, but I'm just gonna jump in this question and say my opinion. I love that we're Hispanic and that we come in all shades, right? I love my white Latino sisters. I love my mulatto Latino brothers and sisters, as well as my Black. My issue is when I see Latinos white presenting, they are replicating some of the same struggles that impact Black and brown people. And they do it so well because now they're acting like, no, I'm
being discriminated against.
I'm being discriminated, like this and that. And I get really upset, and I'm gonna be honest, because you're lacking the cultural sensitivity to understand that you have been in a privileged position because of your lightness. Yeah. And I'm not saying that we don't get it, like, because we do get it, but you are also contributing to the problem. So when you work with people like that, you have to call them out on it. You really do. You have to be like, I applaud you that you want to talk about diversity and equity, but if you're like really not understanding how you're kind of helping again for the marginalization and discrimination of people of color, you're kind of part of the problem. And that's the truth. So
well, I haven't seen her do anything else, so I hope.
I actually had to hold someone accountable for that, because they write like, oh, when you say Latino, you have to say white. And I was just like really triggered by that statement. And I'm getting really tired of it. You know, I'm really tired of it. So I'm sorry. I'm like, why are people saying that? Because you are Latino, you're white, you're part of the colonizers' war, and you're Black because you're part of the people that have been enslaved and raped. And that's it. You have to love all of that, but you also have to be respectful of it, you know? So be very careful. In a lot of artistic spaces, people are still using race and equity to marginalize Black and brown people. And I think it's pretty sad. That's just my opinion. It's really sad. I don't know if you agree with me. I just want to be respectful. So when you see
all together, like, you know, my nephew, he's Dominican, but he's also Italian, right? And so for me, he presents obviously like as a white kid. However, he's the darkest white kid in his neighborhood and his school, right? So it's a very fine line because he does know that struggle, and he might know it even more like as he gets older. And that's going to probably be like a bone of contention for him as he gets older. Hopefully not, because, you know, he has the right guidance around him. But I think it's a fine line. I think it's like, yes, we're not saying you haven't had obstacles. We're not saying that people
Yeah.
didn't make fun of you because you had curly hair,
Yeah.
you were white presenting. Like, I'm not taking that from you, but
But
it's
like,
like not the same. Like,
it's
at the
not that, but
time.
also like, don't say like you're being discriminated. You know what I mean? When every factor is showing that you're still in the winning
Yeah.
category.
That
'Cause
happened at the Dominican Writers conference.
I know it did. I know it did
Oh.
because we talked about it. But
Okay.
also the colorization that plays in the
Oh,
Dominican
okay.
Writers Conference.
Mhm.
But my sister is white presenting, and I love my sister. I even wrote a poem about some of the things, and some things that trigger her is that when she goes to places, they always assume she's Italian, right? Because she's white presenting, she's very Italian, but she's like, she'll flip and say, no, you know, thank you so much for this opportunity, but I also have to advocate for Black and brown people because I know I've gotten this privilege for being white presenting. I respect that. Because you have to also remember, like, you're coming from the diaspora, like we're everything, you know what I mean? Thank you for that. I totally agree with you. I had a horrible story of a light-skinned Dominican. Yeah, it's hard to navigate these conversations. It's very hard, and I'm just trying to be respectful because
Yeah, thanks.
I'm seeing both sides. I'm
Yeah.
seeing like either light-skinned Hispanics don't want to be referred to as part of the darker story, nuestra negritud, which is something that me and other writers talk a lot about because it's true. We have to acknowledge it, and also our whiteness. We have to acknowledge the ones that are white representing. That's beautiful. So I'm gonna just share my screen for this last thing because our classes, and I want to let people answer questions. Let me share my screen. For next class, I know we dance around beta readers, but I'm gonna go a lot into editing. Okay, I want to make sure like this class, the second part of early book readers, we did talk a lot about collaborating with people, the contracts and how things it is and all those things. But yeah, we're going to talk about these things. I'm going to give you examples. You know, I'm going to get into it. I promise you, the editing piece. So I'm just sharing that because I don't want you guys, I know I talk about it little by little, but the reason I didn't talk about it all out, as you can see, to write a book, there's a lot of compartments. And for those who missed classes, I hope you are able to watch the video whenever it's convenient for you, because the thing is, it's a lot of information and I want it to make sense. So if something doesn't make sense, this is your opportunity to ask.
Yeah, and come through with your questions.
Yeah. So any other questions anyone has? Does anything make sense?
I have a question.
Go ahead.
So let's say you're obviously a new writer, right, for children's books, and you decide to self-publish, right?
Mm-hmm.
So from what I noticed a long time ago, I was looking up illustrators, and what I noticed is that, and you'll see them all on Instagram. I mean, they're everywhere. And then, but they started off like freelance. And then once they get big, you know, then they sign on somewhere and they're no longer available. I mean, I even had email conversations with a couple of them, but there was, by the time they take off, they're no longer available. So what are your thoughts on, like, if you're new, you're just starting out the gate, you're not trying to get signed on, not that you wouldn't want to get signed on by a publishing house, but and you self-publish, what about looking more for maybe an illustrator who is just starting out as well? Because I'm thinking you may have a better chance of grabbing them before they blow up. Because once they blow up, it's like you say, 30,000 or however much dollars. So is there a way to kind of seek out someone like that?
Thank you for that question, Lynn. I think I'm going to be very honest. I know Angie started a resource for a lot of writers that she shared freely on the Dominican Writers site. Let me just share the screen Let's go here. Sorry, I made notes for myself. Dominican writers, she has a list.
Are you sharing my resource?
Yes, you made this screen. Where am I going? Writers.
It's not, I don't think.
Did you
click
change
on-
it?
No, click there, but I just to check if it's there, because it might just be our, click
No, it's
on the
not there.
writers, it's right there, it says writers resource.
Oh, there it is. I can't see. Yeah. So when you go to, look, she put Fiverr. Oh, she also put New York Book Editors. She put, where is the Illustrators piece?
Yeah, it's not on there. So the Illustrator, it should be on your Google Drive.
Oh, on my Google Drive?
Yeah,
Okay.
if you look under resources, it should pop up for you.
Okay, and someone asked me a question since I'm gonna start sharing my, here it is, resources for writer. Angie, can I share this? Because this is yours,
Yeah.
or you'll be sharing it. This is
No,
Angie's thing that she shared. Okay, I'm gonna also share, I'm not gonna share my
Okay,
personal.
so Luz, click on it, because so there's a whole tab on
Oh,
Illustrator.
here, Illustrators, here she goes, and here's their Instagram page. And she
Yeah,
put
well,
Dominican.
first of all, I only work with Dominican illustrators. That's why you see a lot of them that are Dominican. And then
She has non-Dominican.
and then there are non-Dominicans that we really like their work. It doesn't mean that we have, these are not recommendations or suggestions. They're just people for you to consider. It is totally up to you. Go on their Instagram page, do your research. If you find that you like their work, and you know, figure out a way to work with them. But these are just people that we've collected throughout the years that we think are pretty good at what they do.
I will say this, I know I'm willing to share someone I worked with, that it was a great experience. So let me just share that with you. But someone also asked me, how much did I invest? Tatiana, was that your question? About how much did I invest in my first book? Whose question was that on
I think
illustration?
it was Gelda who said.
Gelda, did you ask about?
No?
Annie, was
Somebody
that?
asked what was
I
like the
asked about how
average.
much was it
Mariela.
with self-funding versus how much is it with a publisher?
Okay,
A publisher doesn't charge you for that. They cover everything.
yeah.
Right, so I'm wondering like up to how much they go. Like, did she spend like 500 when she was doing it all self-funded? And did a publisher get someone who was like 40 G's?
Okay.
Yeah, the publisher doesn't tell you how much they cost. Sometimes they work out deals with these illustrators.
I'm gonna be honest with the publisher I work with right now. She paid me back the money I paid for my illustrator. So it was like 1,800. I think she also
Because you
covered.
already had you already had illustrations for your story, right?
I did, but sometimes they don't want that illustrator and they pick an
Right,
illustrator
right.
on site. But
Mhm.
I was very committed. And I remember when I was talking to her and pitching my book, I really need you to pick up my illustrator because I want this to be an all Dominican book. That was part of my contract.
That was your deal breaker.
That was my deal breaker for them. I wanted to challenge them. And this is, do you see my budget, guys? Do you see this? I pulled it up. Do you see it? Thumbs up if you see it. So I have a little bit more, but I'm gonna share 2020. This is Maria Merengue book. This was the author, the illustrator I used. This is how much I spent on illustrations and other things, orders, printful orders, every other book I worked with. I put that year what I paid. The total of 2020 was, I even put a T-Mobile issue that I had with my illustrations and stuff. It was close to 16,000.
What?
I also,
This
I'll
is
tell you-
one book?
no, these are all the books.
Oh, okay.
You see? I did a test doll, $20, another test doll, 120. I put everything I'm spending on my business. I put the dates, I put the orders, the type of orders. You see, I'm kind of like jumping around, but I want you to see. Printful, Maria Merengue book here, Maria Merengue. This is the designer, how much I charge for design. This is the elephant book, the illustrations. If I did clothing, that means merch. This was something different that I paid for an editor at that time. And I still needed another 2 editors. That was a lesson learned. Because the illustrator wanted me to work with their editor. I'm never gonna do that again. I wanted to have dolls for my books. So these were test dolls that I started doing. I did 3 test doll versions, right? Music for my animations, because I animate a lot of my books. It was $300. Animations, I put it in deposits, and these are how much I was doing. And then I started working on stuff. And then the app, if I apply for a grant for something, if there's a fee, I attached it. There were other things I was working on. As you can see, Fiverr. I know what this is.
Luz, you scaring these people.
I am.
Stick to one book, Luz, because this is just multiple projects that she spent $16,000 on. So we don't want you guys to think that's what you should be looking forward to.
No, but what I'm
So for
getting.
example, Luz, the go up. So for example, the Maria Merengue book, you paid Vanessa, who was the illustrator, about $1,300 for, I guess, a 32-page full spread book.
That's not including the formatting. That was $400.
Not including. This is just illustrations, guys. So illustrations can range anywhere from $1,300 to $2,000, $2,500. And it all depends on what you want, how much of it you want.
And then this is not including the editing, because I remember
Right.
Vanessa wanted me to hire.
Illustrations, just no layout and design, no editing on the text,
And
just the illustrations.
And this doesn't include the copyright.
Right. Because those are other expenses, right?
So that's my point with this Excel sheet. You start
I think you sent something to the group on what expenses they could expect, didn't you? In one of the emails?
I sent them a draft Excel sheet, but this is what you should start getting in the habit of writing down, right? So it can make sense to you. Does that make sense, guys? Like if you're gonna go about it, don't be like me, right? Because I love writing, right? It just started like paying off, me being a writer. And I'm gonna be honest, because I think, Angie, I love what you said once. ¿Quién era la que tú dijiste, la famosa autora, that it took her like 10 years for it to be like paying off? Who was it?
Oh, Angie Cruz?
Angie Cruz, right? Angie Cruz, that you talked about her a lot. A lot of people, they pay for their art because they believe in it. I love writing. I do it because I love it. It has saved me in so many ways. I recommend you start with one book. And if you like going down that rabbit hole, I'll see you on the other side, my friend. How about that?
And don't get scared, guys. If you allow yourself a year to plan out for your book and you save, there's no reason for you to be paying all of this in bulk. First, you write the story, then you pay for an editor. Okay, once that book is edited, then you start working on the illustrations and you make a deposit for that. You get on a payment plan if it's possible. Then you work on the layout and design. So you take it step by step, right? And the final thing you're gonna do is the copyright and purchasing an ISBN number.
Oh, that's another one, yeah.
Right? And you know, there are many expenses involved, but there's no reason for you to take on all these expenses at once. Everything is, I tell people, treat your book like a baby, like you're just pregnant. The first trimester, you're working on that manuscript, you're editing, right? Then you move on to the next step, right? Each month is a milestone. So each month you treat it, you complete another step of your book, but it doesn't, that baby isn't done all in 1 month, right? It takes 9 months for that baby to come out fully formed and perfect. It's the same thing. It should be the same manner for your book. Don't rush into it. I've seen people that create these mental deadlines in their head, and then they're like, oh my God, I need to put this out. And part of their book isn't even done yet. they still need corrections to be made, but they feel so overwhelmed because they have this deadline in their mind that they have to put this book out. Or because they feel, oh, I announced on social media that the book was gonna come out this month and I'm not even close to getting it done. Or I told family and friends that the book is gonna come out, and they put this pressure on them, and I'm like, fuck your friends and family. Like, this is gonna get done when it's ready. So if people are like pressuring you about it or whatever, you'd be like, look, I'm working on it.
Oh, and every year is
There
different.
may be a delay.
Yeah.
Whatever,
Yeah.
you communicate to people, there's a delay, I'm working on this, or whatever the case may be, but don't allow outside people to put pressure on you to complete a project, or, you know, or put that pressure on yourself, because if you're self-publishing, there is no deadline, right? You, of course, you could say, I want to get this done within the next year, but don't say, oh, 3 months, I'm going to get this done. That's not realistic.
It's not. And also just be kind to yourself. I'm showing you my Excel sheet just so you can see, because I've gotten in the habit of writing a lot, and I know Angie knows that about me. So I like to work on multiple projects, but that's me. Not everyone's the same, you know? But also I want you to write down whatever you do spend on your craft. If you should put on your Excel sheet this workshop for this year. Get in the habit of itemizing your creative things, so you know, even if it's for your personal goals, but that's part. If you buy some software for that T-Mobile thing, it was a software I bought because I thought I wanted to illustrate. That was my big key of knowing I never want to illustrate. ¿Tú te recuerdas? That's why I put T-Mobile. Eso me costó esa vaina. So Angie's laughing because she knows. So I had made those mistakes.
I've seen authors try everything just to save themselves money, and it's okay. It's okay.
It's okay because you learn con cocotazo y con dinero. I don't know.
Learn that's not the path.
That's not the path.
Yeah. For you, sir. That's not it.
And guess what? I haven't illustrated none of my books. Thank the Lord. No one would buy a book from me.
Yeah. Yeah, anyway, well, I already showed you examples of people who try to illustrate.
Yeah. Any other questions before we wrap up? It's 3 minutes before the 5. We've been here for 2 hours. I hope you guys enjoyed this class because it's a lot. It was a lot about working with illustrators and protecting your work. My recommendations, just a recap. Once you write the manuscript, whether it's completely done, you should copyright it as soon as you're going to be like, I'm going to work with an illustrator because I don't know if they're going to steal it from me. I want you to start being very vigilant who you work with, right? With illustrators, because you need to be under the understanding that this is a paid professional, that you are trusting them with your baby. Of course, you're going to be respectful. You're going to be of great spirit to work with, but also be like, hey, I want to work with you and I need to build this trust with you. So these are my requirements. So I will be sending you samples of what I attached to this class, which is the sample NDA, the copyright link, as well as the sample illustrator contract. But I will need for you guys to also do your research. When you're working on your piece, take your time. You just breathe. Remember, the key is which illustrator moves you to be like, oh, they're going to make a beautiful work of art and they're going to make my work come to life. Does that make sense? Any other questions? And I'll stop boring you guys with my madness. And remember, Angie's right. You're going to keep track of whatever money you spend, whatever, even if you're consulting with a lawyer, keep a track of that. Okay, do it year to year. It'll help you get an idea on your spending. And by the way, that was 2020. I don't always spend the same amount because I'm never I haven't illustrated none of my crap. So any other questions? At the end, I saw a hair flip. Do you have a question? A hair flip? What are we doing? You look good though. Okay, I like the hair flip. Great question.
Do we have any homework? I think I heard.
Yeah, so the homework is going to be the same. Oh, okay. It's gonna be 500 text words. You should be, this homework is different, actually, because I already gave you, I know, who had the question about beta readers? Who had the question? It was you, Tatiana. Okay. Tatiana had questions about beta reader. Bring your text that you want to work on next week, because everything we're going to do next week is about editing, revising, and looking at our work carefully. Okay. If you found an illustrator that you want to share with the group, that's great, but you don't have to feel that pressure, okay? To see like, hey guys, what do you think about that? I want this to be a safe space. Oh, what a cute puppy. If you want to share like, hey, I found this illustrator, can you guys help me find other stuff they work on? I'm happy to do that in the class, but I want you guys to know that whoever you decide to work with, you need to do the homework on it. I don't want you guys to have a very rude awakening like I did with illustrators.
Do your
okay?
background checks.
Yeah, do all those checks. Don't be like don't be like my family. Esto está bueno. If I hear esto está bueno, don't be surprised. You know, I promise you guys to share one illustrator that I did trust, and she is good. She's cheap too. Like I think it's $35 or $45 per illustration. My issue is that I've got into a habit that I try not to use illustrators more than 2 to 3 times. That's why I'm
Are
not
you
working
gonna
with it.
do are you gonna do a workshop on type of illustrations? Like there's the flat, what do you call those? There's the flat.
2D, 3D, 4D, and then there's the
Yeah.
4K. I could, but Angie, you just booked me for 6 weeks. They're tired of me.
I
They
mean,
don't want 6 weeks. They don't want 10 weeks. You already told me, are you gonna do one on pitching?
Oh,
This
how
is-
about, okay, so send it to them in a email on different type of illustrations.
I will. I will. Pero ustedes tan alto de mí, right? You guys are done, right? You want
They
your
want
Sundays
more
back.
info.
You want your Sundays back? Yes, we want your Sundays back. That's right, Lynn. Say it. Say you done with me. No one. Mariela has a look. Mariela's face. See, bótala. I see it, right? She got
Mariela's always working, so.
she has more workshops. No, I know. Let me look for the illustrator right now. I'm gonna give it to you guys before I jump. Here it is. This is a Fiverr illustrator. Let me share the screen and then I'll let you guys go so you could enjoy your Sunday. Y la hija mía quiere que le fríe salami con queso frito para hacerle un sándwich.
Ew, why you smelling there?
Look at this illustrator, okay? I don't know how to say her name. She's actually, I really like her.
She's cute.
She's very cute. I think this is the link. Look at her portfolio.
$10. Where's she not in the US charging $10, is she? Okay.
Look, this is that.
Oh, those are so cute.
So I am willing.
Does she do black characters?
Yeah, she does.
Okay.
She did Lalita's prayer.
Now
She did a black,
we know that we
a
gotta
black
ask this
virgin.
question.
Look, and her spread page, a spread page is double pages, is 35. And look, she did this, she does this. Look, black and brown.
Okay.
And what other questions should you ask, you guys?
I
What
just
other-
want to thank Angie for matching the illustrator to the kind of color that they use.
Because I mean, after Lou said that, I'm just like, okay,
I'm
now we gotta
scared.
ask this question.
No,
Do
for
you
real.
do you do black characters?
Look, and she does commercial use. So commercial use sometimes is source file.
Ah,
So she does the same. But sometimes you could ask her if you want to be real particular. I need this with the source file.
what does that mean when she says 2 figures? What does that mean?
Only 2 characters.
Oh, okay. So if you have a part of your manuscript that has a family, don't ask her to illustrate that. Just ask her to illustrate one that you have with max 2 characters.
So I shared the link. You can say Luz. And I would recommend, if you're like, let me see if she could do it. Don't pay for premium. No,
Do
do
the
the basic, $10. And then you could hate me for $10.
Right.
But
So
you're
that's
getting
like-
one figure, no
So that's
background.
like asking for a quote, right? So you could do that with several illustrators till you find the one that you really like for your book.
And this is the book she did for me. Let me show you, because I guess you guys want to see it. My book. Oh, where's Lalita's prayer? Lalita's prayer, where are you? Here it is, Lalita's prayer. That's what she did
Okay.
when my Black Virgin married. And it was very cute. Her, you know, it was very cute because all the colors were exactly what I wanted. Esa soy yo con los tres moñitos.
I used to have those when I was a kid.
Yeah, and I wanted a Black Virgin. A lot of the virgins look white, but I was thinking about a statue that I remember growing up with. My parents were very, very religious, so that's why I did she did the likeness to my parents. That's how my parents look like. I have a picture, and it was so funny because when I did that picture and I showed it to my mom and dad, she got pretty emotional, but she was really good. Look at the images. So that is one person I'm willing to share. And she doesn't replicate artwork. And that was me. That's an actual picture of me that she did. So any other questions before I jump off? Let me get you guys stop. Because now it's 5:06. I gave you an additional couple minutes.
It's Tatiana. I have a quick question. I'm sorry.
No,
So-
you're good. I just want to make sure this makes sense because this class was very hard. It was very
Yes.
contract driven.
This was so helpful. So I was looking, so like she has the option for the 2-page spread. Is that a way you could almost budget yourself? Like, I'm going to order one a month and just let them know, like, you know, same character, same style, or do you recommend instead getting a quote for your whole project?
Right? Get a quote.
I would do one a month. With her, I'll do an image.
Mhm.
A month.
I'll say one image at a time because that way you know if you like how it's going. And she's really good that after you pay for an image and you need a change, she's not going to be like, oh, you have to do another order. She has changed it for me. There are some things I didn't like, but this is me. Like, I don't like everything right away, but I like her color palette. And you're a teacher, right, Tatiana?
Yes.
Teacher. So you understand that bright colors are important for in the school settings. So let's say if there's something about the palette you don't like, she'll do the changes for you.
Okay.
Okay.
That's good to know. Thank you.
But I will suggest one at a time because you're getting comfortable too. You don't know her. You're just following her out of my recommendation. Vamos a decir si a ti no te gusta, which you have a right to, right? A ti no te gusta. Then you could write a note, okay, she didn't follow this directions. Let's say if your directions is 3 little pigs, the 3rd little pig needs to look like a diva. And her view of a diva is not your view of a diva. Now you know you have a conflict explaining what you need done. You know, like that might not be the person you want to communicate with. Does that make sense?
Yes.
It's almost like a marriage. You want to make sure it works well. Okay.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Does this make sense, guys? So I gave you a 5. I feel like I would pay for basic just to yeah. Mariela, that's totally true. Pay the basic fee. See if you guys match up, the math is mathing, like you guys communicate well, they understand what you want, you know. And then you could date them. Then you're like, I'll do wine with you. You know what I mean? Like, then you're like, I'll do another image. Then like the most you spend is $50. I'd rather tell you how to go low before you be like $100 on an image. I die every time I spend $100 on an image. I'm gonna be honest. And Angie knows me. Before I spend $100, I have to know if they are really, really worth it. Okay? So now it's 5:09. I have to get this salami frito con queso frito sandwiches for my kids, okay? They're like really wanting, like, it's like, they're wanting their Dominican sandwiches. So any other questions before I jump off? We're good, everyone's understanding.
Sorry.
Go ahead, Carissa.
I forgot the amount of pages. So to print, I know that there is a mandatory amount of pages.
There's
What
a
is the
mandatory amount.
Is it, yeah, like, is it 20? Because I forgot.
28. If you're
28,
doing
okay.
KDP, 28 at least.
It depends on the platform you use to self-publish your book.
Oh, Ingram
Yeah.
Spark is a little.
They all have different limits.
Yeah.
Some is 32 pages, some is 28 pages, some is 18 pages. It just depends. You
Yeah.
have to do that research.
Carissa, pero yo te molesto. Show me what you're working on so we could do the layout.
Okay, yo te lo muestro.
Okay, Tato. Anyone else
Thank
before
you.
we jump off? Ay, mira, Yari. Mira, yo le dije a mami que me compré la cafetera de que ella está en Santiago. Ya viene ahora, y le dije que me traiga un dulce de coco con queso. Anyways, have a blessed day, guys. Happy Sunday. This was class 4. Next is, we got 2 more classes to go. So I'm going to send you all these details. Since I did a lot, I'll send it to you a little later with Angie's video, and we're good, okay? Bye,
Thank you.
guys.
Enjoy your rest of the weekend, guys.
Bye.
You too.
Bye. Oh, Mariela.